The Whose Turn Is It Anyway podcast is live this year at the UK Games Expo. You can check us out on Friday the 31st of May at 1:30 to 2:30 in the Dice Room, which is in Piazza 4. If you want to get involved in the live episode, then please come along. We can't wait to see you there.
Hello and welcome to Whose Turn Is It Anyway, a podcast all about our board gaming group and the board games that we play. I am your first player, Adrian, and today with me I have Padawan Chris.
Hello there.
Jedi Knight Rob.
Hi.
And Episode 3 Youngling, JP.
No!
Hello. Today we are talking about, well, I'm trying to lead everyone to the dark side. And if you're thinking, well, didn't we just have a Star Wars episode recently? Don't worry, we're not talking too much about Star Wars. I'm just using quotes from a very wise person to lead everyone onto the dark side, like I am myself.
Nice.
Hopefully this sounds a little bit different to usual, as we have new recording equipment. So please give us any feedback and let us know how we sound. Hopefully we sound better because we've spent a bit of money. So thank you very much for those who support us through coffee, because that has enabled us to do this.
Yeah, you're all awesome. We really, really appreciate every bit of help we get on this podcast, because it's just amazing, really. It still blows my mind that we've actually got this new equipment. We actually kind of look professional.
It does look quite sexy, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and it's quite weird because we all have to kind of do things in a slightly different way, but it's a good way. And but yeah, no, thank you, massive thanks. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, massive thank you.
Yeah, between that and picking up the audio equipment for Expo to sort of be able to do sort of interviews a bit better in a busy environment, it's been quite an exciting time for us.
Yeah, can't wait.
So on that note, how's everyone doing? How's everyone been?
Really good. Really, really good. Cannot complain. Had a really fun weekend, which I'm sure we'll get into in a bit. But no, really good.
Yeah, likewise. It's my kind of birthday coming up, and managed to celebrate my birthday by having a games weekend. So that was awesome. Had lots of people around, played lots of games, and yeah. And it didn't feel too cramped, which I thought it might do.
Considering we had 3 gaming tables, it was awesome.
We had 4 at one point.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, someone went outside and then it started raining.
It's always dangerous, an outside game.
It's all good though, but no, generally good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I was just listening to everyone else enjoying their time. Mine was just like, yeah, it's the day. It happened. Move on. Yeah.
So it's this part of the episode where we talk about you and me and talk about all the good things and the bad things that have been as we talk about Hex.
Rob's loving it.
Rob's loving it.
He's loving the return of the what do we call it? The
intro.
The intro.
Yeah.
Adrian's intro. He's the only one who intros that segment with
the only
style and grace.
He's the only one brave enough to do it.
Yeah. Bravery is definitely the word I would use there.
I respect that.
Yeah, it just works.
Yeah.
Well, as you respect it, do you want to tell us what you've been up to recently?
As we alluded to, JP's board gaming weekend. Played some new games, and on my typical levelling up period at the moment, we played Anachrony, which is a big boy game.
Bit of a light one.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. We played with the Fractures of Time expansion, and it was brilliant. Absolutely amazing. I cannot rate that game highly enough. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
What's it about, Rob?
It's about... I don't know.
I didn't really go into the theme of it, did I?
Not at all.
No, I just
You
said,
go through time and you do things.
I said there's a heavy worker placement game, and you just do time travel shenanigans.
All we heard was time travel shenanigans, and we were like, we're in. But yeah, so it's about... The Earth is about to expire.
Expire?
I believe.
Yeah.
And it's been mined to death, and it's dying, and it's about to die. So it's about kind of getting everybody off world, getting resources in preparation for everyone to leave. And about turn 4, the comet hits. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of time to sort of wrap up and move on. And it was great. And there was some time manipulation. So you can get things now, but you have to pay. You can borrow stuff from yourself from the future. But if you don't pay it back, there's a time paradox and you get punished for it. And it's, it was thoroughly enjoyable. I absolutely loved it. It went on a little bit longer than we realised, but for a teach game, it went really well. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. I'd happily play that game again. And the minis are just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, completely unnecessary.
Oh yeah, you do not need them at all.
You don't need them, but you kind of do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just I don't know. I like putting the workers in. Boop. Off we go.
They're cool.
Yeah. But no, I mean, you're right on the theme. The theme is kind of like sci-fi, futuristic, kind of apocalyptic kind of vibe going on. And I think thematically, the asteroid or meteorite that's basically hurtling towards Earth was the same one that actually destroyed it many, many years ago. Involving some time travel shenanigans.
I vaguely remember you mentioning that.
But let's face it, the theme doesn't matter.
Oh, God, no.
Because it's great fun.
It was great fun and thoroughly enjoyed it. And as soon as I heard Mindclash, I started panicking and breaking out in sweats a little bit. Yeah. But I loved it.
I didn't give you the easiest start because I threw in Fractures of Time expansion.
In your typical, you're bored of playing the base game, so you introduce it to other people with all the expansions vibe.
Yeah, but it's my birthday.
And you'll cry if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fractures just adds a blinking mechanic which allows you to teleport around the board, spending this resource called Flux. And doing that just means it opens the game up, in my opinion. You have less rounds, which the rounds do take longer, but because the spaces kind of open up as you play, it just flows the game better, in my opinion.
I need to play Anachrony. I keep saying I'm going to play it and then never quite get around to it. Or it fills up really quickly on our gaming evenings. Like, it's really popular. So,
and I have promised to just do base with you.
Yeah.
So we need to do that. And I will do it.
I wouldn't. I put Fractures of Time in. I really would. It added, it made sense. The game's not overly complex, and my tiny little brain managed to... No, you can see where the paths go. You may not be able to go down them all the way, but you can see where the start is and you can see where the end is. Like, my tiny little brain managed to kind of cope with it. Like, I could kind of see where the routes were. Not to say that it's not a complex game, but I coped with it really well, and that's with the expansion. And like you said, the expansion added a nice little bit to it where you didn't need to power up and not all of your workers, but you could get double the use out of them if you had this certain material. So it made it kind of, a little bit broader, but a little bit more straightforward at the same time.
Well, maybe I'll give Fractures a go. Last time you played it with all the expansions, I think. Was it?
No, I've never played it before. I don't think I'd recommend all of them. You can't, because it will just break itself.
All right, okay.
So you typically pick a major expansion to throw in, and there's some modules you can kind of add in on top.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that was it then. Yeah. I just remember it having like a long list of things after the word Anachrony.
There's a lot you can play with Fractures and Futures Imperfect, I think, but I don't know if I would. It's too much. Too much nonsense.
So I want to give it a go.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. It was great fun.
So I'm going to talk about Annunaki Dawn of the Gods. So Annunaki is a game I played on Gaming Rules about 18 plus months ago in prototype form, and I quite enjoyed it actually when I played it on the stream. And then when we went to Essen, we managed to get a game. But to be honest, we were so tired.
To sit down. We
just used it as a sit down. We're like, we're so tired. Where can we sit and where can we demo? Oh, Annunaki, that'll do. And we did, and we kind of played through well, not even half a game, was it? It was kind of 25% of a game, and then we kind of said, we're rested now, let's move on. So yeah, Annunaki is by Cranio Creations, and it's all about, well, I'm going to call it space gods. So it's kind of like you've got the ancient gods of like Zeus and Odin and Ra and all the different kind of, ancient areas of the world. But instead of them being kind of mythical, they are for aliens from different planets. So they kind of hail from these different planets, and in the middle of the board you've got Gaia, and you've got Atlantis that kind of sits right in the heart of it. And essentially it's a 4X game. It's, your typical, explore, expand, exploit, exterminate kind of vibe, and you're building out your troops, you're kind of exploring your own planet, and ultimately going into the main planet of planet Earth. And you'll fight each other, and you'll, smack each other around a little bit and do all those kind of cool things. But the crux of it for me, what I really enjoy about the game is the action selection mechanism. Is like a pentagram star with a circle that runs all the way around it, and there's action tiles that kind of sit there. I think there's 10 that kind of sit across it. And you can kind of pick any action that you want to do on your turn, but the benefit is that if you go to the one that's adjacent to where you were, well, we say you can peel out a cube on the line. And the idea is that if you get all your cubes surrounding these triangles, you can unlock your minor gods, and they can give you certain abilities or powers or render game benefits. And then you've got your like main god that sits in the middle. So if you go around that pentagram, then you get Zeus or Odin or anyone else that is kind of cool and has some awesome abilities. And they've all got different like strengths that they can harvest or attack with. And then, yeah, you know, it's very Eurofied. You're going up tracks, moving lots of cubes. But actually what surprised me, and even playing it, we did a 3-player, right? Rob, me and Curly. It surprised me how quick it was. For a 4X game, you can nail that in 2 hours.
Even with the teaching lesson, it felt quick.
Yeah,
it was. Once you kind of knew what you were doing, you flew around the board. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it's like move your action pawn, take an action, done. You'll go. You're like, oh, okay. You'll go next. So it kind of fly. The rounds fly. Obviously, you can get AP like any other game, but I just felt like if you know what you're doing with it, it's going to sing that game. It's going to fly right round. And you're not waiting a long time. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Good. It's good fun.
It was great.
My main memory of Vessen was looking at that board and having sort of almost like flashbacks of Revive, because it's quite a busy looking board. And I was really worried, and I didn't get on with Revive, partially because of how busy that board was, your like own player board. And I found myself sort of being a bit worried when we first sat down that this looks like it's just going to be a busy board that I don't like the look like, that I don't get on with. But it was really good. I really enjoyed that part of it, the action selection. And I remember saying, well, we can't leave until I've unlocked a thing.
You were adamant about it.
You wanted your god, right?
It's the only thing you guys were actually doing proper things. I was like, I just want to unlock a god. So until I've been around this thing here, like the hexagon or whatever is in the middle, I'm not moving anywhere. And it was just fun to do that part, even if you don't sort of really go after the 4X, but you don't take it too seriously. There's fun in just trying to manipulate that sort of, as you say, that like overlapping, crisscrossy, hexagony, circly pentagram thing.
Because the beauty of it, you can move to any point, right, at any time, but you also want the bonuses, because when you put the cubes in, there are certain spaces to get gems, and those gems allow you to do a secondary action. So you're like, I want the gem, but I also need resources, so I need to actually jump, which means I don't get the gem, but I need the gem to do. And it was that part that was like, it was a proper in-depth puzzle within a 4X game, which I'm not a lover of 4X games. I enjoy them. I don't love them. Like, I'll play them if somebody needs a seat filling, but that is about it. But this was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. Like you said, it was really quick. And it wasn't overly complex. Like, it was quite clear. I want that. I need to go here. Cool. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it again. Actually, kind of hopefully not too long. Now we got a few rules wrong, didn't we? I did.
One was quite a game-breaking rule, but still
managed to take Atlantis very easily because it didn't have the extra strength on there, which it should have done.
And how did you get in there?
I portaled, which you're not allowed. Not allowed to portal into Atlantis. You have to walk in like any good citizen. But you know what? It's kind of a learning game, and Curly had literally just popped it that evening, and he said, "Go on, JP, you do the rules. You've played it 1.5 times over nearly 2 years."
And to be fair, you did a great job.
Just a few things
The moment of the game, though, was when you cheekily landed on Curly's planet.
Oh, he nearly had a meltdown, didn't he?
I honestly thought he was going to flip the table.
He said the words, I think, does anyone want to buy this game?
I was like, yep, I'll have it.
Did he actually say those words?
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, because I literally portaled in only one of my troops, which is a strength one. It's not really a military might. Portaled in, because my ability is Zeus, is that if he unlocks these tokens, which are called culture tokens, and they sit kind of in the triad of hexagons, and if you surround them, at the end of the turn, you get these culture benefits. I will get the culture benefits regardless of where that person is. Just having a presence and control in the territory, I get it. So that was the reason why I sent it in there. And he did not like it. He was like, "Oh, well, I never played this game before. You're going to pick on me."
He got a bit spicy. Bless him.
That's from Curly.
Kick it off. And he's like, "I'm going to make it my mission to destroy you." I went, yeah, right. And I don't think he kind of understood what the game was.
He did take you out, and then he was like, "Oh," like he got it. Then it's not a war game. It's not Civ New Dawn, where you put your players near somebody, it's about to kick off. This isn't that. And once he realised that, and then we had a lot of fun with it, figuring it out. And come the end of it, I was like, "Can I buy this off you?" Then he was like, "Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You shut up and sit down."
Yeah, he had a good time with it. I think in the end, it's just in his head he thought it was just a tactical war game.
Yeah,
it's not.
No, not at all.
You know, actually benefited him attacking me. He got like 5 VPs out of it.
it's a bit like Scythe in that respect. I think it's a bit of disguised as to what it looks like. Again, I've only played Scythe a couple of times. 1.5 times. And the first time it was sold to me as big stompy robots. And it looks like big stompy robots, but it's clearly not. You could tell from one playthrough, and it's exactly the same with that, isn't it? It looks like dudes on a map, and that's all it is. But it's not really. And I think some people will get not confused, but some people will get misled by the look of it.
Yeah, it's got some similarities to Scythe in the fact that when you take Atlantis, middle of the map, you get these special, I don't know what they are, artifacts. And it's kind of like the factory when you go in and you get a particular card and you can pick through the stack that's there. Well, there's 3. And that's going to give you an ability, either fuel your end game or, give you something that's going to be awesome throughout the rest of the game. So it's kind of got that similar incentive, shall we say, to get to the middle, as well as obviously having a fight against the neutral ancient civilizations and stuff like that. And that's quite nice. You don't have to fight each other. You can fight the ancient civs and not worry. So you can
I don't think I fought either of you guys.
No.
Thought the ancient civilizations, but also as somebody who gets overwhelmed by quite complex games quite easily, considering this game's got 5 player boards, and look, like you said, looks incredibly busy. Once you actually sit down and analyze it, it's like, it's surprisingly not simple but straightforward, which I really enjoyed. That I enjoyed the fact that it wasn't massively complex. It wasn't like a Perseverance, for example, where you've got 40 different spaces you can go to. So I loved it. I to the point where I looked at buying it there and then, but it's not actually out yet. So,
and it's not cheap.
No,
it's the reality of the game. It's 80-90 quid.
I think I saw it for 120. Yeah. But again, it's not officially been released. You can pre-order it on a lot of the sites for about 80.
But no, it's a good game. Recommend it. Play it again. Let's do it.
Go on then, Chris. Tell us what you've been up to recently.
Right, so I'm going to go back to JP's gaming weekend that we had. Me and Rob managed to unlock the secret table, which no one else had access to because it was covered in pizza. Was the kitchen island, and we sat down and we played Skyrim The Adventure Game. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. It works and, in my opinion, runs very similar to the actual video game itself. It's the same sort of, there's loads of stuff to do. There's no particular order that you need to do it. There is a main quest. There's a bit of a timeline sometimes, but there's nothing really stopping you from just going around and doing whatever the hell you want, which was great fun. One of the mechanics in the game I found that I haven't really seen in other games actually is the ability for everyone to move at exactly the same time. I haven't seen that in other games, really. It's literally like, okay, now it's a new round. Everyone moves to a location where you want to go, and then you go in a turn order around. So like there's an event happens, player 1's going to go in a dungeon, player 2's going to go to a town and do an event after that point. But you all move first to where you want to go, so you can all meet at one spot if you all need to particularly do a type of quest or something. Like you all need to go to a certain location to do something. So it's nice that works in. But no, it was absolutely fantastic. I loved that game, and I've played it twice solo since, and it works really well solo as well. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I bought it a little while ago, just before I got The Witcher, and I set it up on the table, and I left it there for about 2 weeks, and I did the sort of tutorial campaign. I did because it's broken up into 6 chapters.
Yes, it is, yeah. So
you've got chapters 1, 2, and 3, which are basically the first half of the game, and then 4, 5, and 6, it really kind of ramps up at the end of it. So I've done chapter 1 about 4 times now, I think, because every time I go and do it, I think, do you know what? I'm just going to kind of stay away from the main quest and just go around and do stuff. And again, like you said, it's very thematic to the game. It's kind of got everything in there that you want from, like a Skyrim game. And yeah, really, really enjoyable. To the point where I might be looking at getting the Dawnguard expansion. for my birthday. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you're a fan of Skyrim and sort of adventure gaming in general, it's definitely worth a look.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I had the chance to kind of play it. It's one of the on the list, I think. But I don't know. Do you think I'd enjoy it?
I think you kind of would. I played it with Curly. Curly really enjoyed it. Okay. And he could kind of, because the first chapter that we did, it's kind of like it's just kind of an experience of the world and the game mechanics and everything that can and should happen. But I think that the depth is there. Both crafting, enchanting, like all the stuff that you'd get in the game is in this board game. All the things you love about it. So I think you'd enjoy it. I think it's not quite as heavy as something like Gloomhaven. I think there's a kind of sweet spot where it's not casual, but it's not the depth is there. It's just not quite as heavy as like a Gloomhaven. It's a little bit more take your time and kind of enjoy it. And like the end of the first chapter, you can kind of end when you're ready. So if you want to spend a little bit more time doing some side quests and getting some gear and leveling up, because at the end of the first chapter, you've got save boxes. So you put all your stuff in a save box, like all the items that you get, your money, your materials, your armor, your weapons, all goes into a save box. And then when you come to play chapter 2, literally just pull it out and you're ready to go.
Nice.
So I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not like the biggest lover of Skyrim.
How dare you?
I know. I mean, I enjoyed it when I played it, but, I never finished it. Whereas Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, I finished that. I don't know why I got hooked on that more than Skyrim. So, again, it's just an IP that I'm not super bothered about. So I just wondered whether it mattered.
Not especially. I mean,
there's
some lovely little nods to the game, and there's some lovely little nods to Elder Scrolls in general.
Yeah.
But you don't specifically need to know that to do it. It's a basic quest game. It's go here, do this, go there, steal that, go there, beat them up. It's
it's a fantasy sword magic, dungeon crawler-esque sort of adventure game.
Yeah, but I think it kind of captures the journey, like go off and have an adventure. Like this is the general goal, and you do have to do it within a certain, not time frame, but the certain amount of rounds.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of events, and obviously you pull out one every single turn. So once you run out of events, that's kind of the game. But you can refill the event deck as you're doing other things. So other side quests can repopulate the event desk a little bit.
And there are markers that you can put down. So like if you take too long, it creates civil unrest because certain towns can be shut off to you, or the markets can be closed at certain towns. So you're kind of playing this. I want to go and do that, but I've only got I've only got space for one round, so I better go and do it now because otherwise it's going to cause problems in the future. Now, realistically, you can't do everything, so you are going to have to, a town is going to have the occasional riot for you to go off and explore all these dungeons and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of casual and kind of because it's semi co-op as well. So you'll be on your journey as well as somebody else is on theirs. You never fight each other, but you don't necessarily have to help each other either, which is quite nice.
I'll have to give it a go. Quite like the fact that it's a bit more casual than a Gloomhaven. I think for me, I know you love Gloomhaven. I'm not going to diss it at all, Chris, because I've had my fun with it.
It's fine.
I've
only just completed it.
What, twice?
Yeah,
completed it.
It's only taken me like 4 years.
You're the only one in the world who has.
I know.
Yeah, so well done.
Thank you.
Yeah,
personal achievement unlocked.
So for me, that is probably too much for the kind of what I want from an adventure kind of game. So
it would almost be like a pizza and beer kind of adventure rather than a come in full battle armor to play the board game because you're so into it. It's so you're so there in the moment. Yeah, it's more of not a casual, but it's like I say, it's just a lot lighter, nice. which has got a really sweet spot for me.
And there's place in the gaming hobby for that, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
And just as a side note, I didn't leave that island for the rest of the evening.
Oh, did you not? So we unlocked it and then you kept it.
I was there for the rest of the time. It was great.
He camped there. He said, I actually quite enjoyed gaming.
It was really nice. It was nice.
It's close to the food and drink.
Yeah.
Well, there is that as well, which is a plus.
I was worried about your backs because you're all on like high stools.
But because I'm quite short, it's not like I'm hunched over. Adrian, I think you'd struggle after about 2 hours.
Possibly.
Because you're a lot taller than me, you'll probably be a little bit more hunched over. But I really enjoyed sitting up there. It was nice.
I've gamed at a breakfast bar before for a couple of hours, and I thought it was perfectly good. So I'm sure, like you sort of said, it's It's always usable.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to have a fancy gaming table to game.
I secretly think you bought the house purely for the size of the island and the kitchen.
It was a deciding factor, but it wasn't for gaming on.
You liar! Everything is for gaming on.
I just wanted an island in the in a kitchen
In the stream.
and now, nice.
I'm glad you made that joke because I thought of it and I just thought I'm not going to do it,
All right,
but I'm
Kenny,
glad you did.
You pipe down, Kenny. Anyway, Adrian, what have you been playing, mate?
Again, I've played a few games and I'm going to talk about a flip and right, but it seems to be all I've spoken about recently. But it's just because we've talked about a lot of the games I've played before, or they're quite similar to other games. I thought I'd just bring something different. So yes, I'm going to talk about Get On Board, which a lot of people might originally know as Let's Make a Bus Route, which is a Saatchi game that I nearly imported because you could only get it in Japan. Stop laughing at me. I'm a nerd. All right, I'll get over it.
I'm not laughing, mate. I'm so proud of you because the pure joy on your face right now, if somebody could see just how much he's smiling.
It's fun.
But I love this hobby. It's so stupid. Like, it's a game about making a bus route, and look at how happy you are.
It's like, what's it called? Viking Seesaw. The number of people I've seen who are like, oh, we've got a group order together when we're importing it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm so happy for people to do it because it's such a hard game to get in this country. And so I bought it at Essen knowing that I wanted it and that it was going to be there. And it's the same with this, with Let's Make a Bus Route. I nearly imported it so many times. And then when, I think it's IELLO for us here in the UK, when they announced that they were bringing on a version called Get On Board, which was slight tweak, but very similar, I was like, I'm going to have to buy that, because it comes out and it's not a lot of money. I think it's only about £25 that I paid for it. I've been so excited to play it for a little while, and then it sat there for quite a while because a lot of people I know aren't that fussed by flip and rights. And so normally they're solo experiences for me. And the first version of it, so there's been two versions. The first version didn't have solo rules, which is the version I bought. Really glad that I managed to get it to the table. I've played it a couple of times. So for those who've not seen it before, there's kind of that ticket to ride sort of route construction. But what happens is you've got your own little sheet and there are 12 different tickets. And you turn it over and each ticket's got a number on it. And my number one ticket might just say put down a single route. So you've got the big grid with lots of little symbols in between all of the grids, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the number one ticket might say put down one. And Chris's might say you get one straight and then one either left or right. So that's the route you're going to make. And JP's might say 3 straight ahead and that kind of thing. And then, so you're only going to get 12 rounds. Each round you're going to flip over a different ticket and you're going to look at the board, and then it's a central board, so you are competing a little bit. And if you want to change the route, you can, but it'll cost you minus points at the end because you're going to tick off a little box that says, instead of going 2 straight ahead, I want to go 1 straight ahead and then turn right. And also, if you get through a busy area, so if you get stuck in traffic, which the middle of the board is all traffic, but if another player has been the route you want to go, it counts as traffic jam. So you have to tick off the traffic jam boxes, and the more you tick off, minus points again. What are you chuckling at?
It just sounds so like commonplace, just general life, and you're just like, this is the best. I'm loving this.
I'm stuck in traffic. Minus points.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just tick it off in the box. Yes, I've been stuck in traffic today.
Rather than I'm stuck in traffic, swear.
Yes.
So it's many swear words here.
Yes.
So the point of what you're trying to do is a bit like Ticket to Ride. You're trying to get from point A to point B. You've got a route that you particularly want to do to score points, and there's there's 2 central objectives. One might be visit loads of landmarks, and the first person to get to 5 landmarks will get 10 points, and then anyone after that will get 6 points. And there's 2 of those out there. And then at the same time, so in between each of the roads, there's like these little symbols, and each little symbol means something different. So some of them will allow you to put down another route, so you get like a free bonus little route to go through. Some of them will then kind of feed into like a Ganshon Clever style. I want multiples of these, so I want to visit multiple sites, and then in between each site, I want to visit a landmark because I'll then score points for every site I've seen up to that point. Or, I need to get I think they're grannies, but they're just general passengers. So I want to get as many of them because
all the grannies.
Because as many of the grannies as you get on your bus as possible, like starts to multiply the points up. So you get more and more for the more of them you visited. So you're just trying to find the most efficient route from A to B around all the traffic, so you're not getting any minus points, but also visit kind of what you need to get the most points out of it. Mm-hmm. So it's a very simple puzzle, but it's so much fun. I've really enjoyed my 2 playthroughs. And more importantly, people who I know that I don't like flip and rights because they're such a solo experience sort of said the central board means that I'm competing for something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of gets around a lot of problems that people have with flip and rights. So yeah, if you enjoy flip and rights, or if you enjoyed that kind of basic Ticket to Ride sort of route building, I think it's there's a bit more to it than Ticket to Ride, which is just set collection, really. There's not a lot more to it than set collection, which is great. And I enjoy Ticket to Ride for what it is, but this is like that next step up of route building. Had loads of fun with it. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, no, it sounds really good. Yeah, actually, sounds like quite fun.
Your ability to sell any game as well is just outstanding. You've made a game about making a bus route sound so incredible.
But it's mechanically good, right?
That's that's the point, is that like the sheer joy when you're explaining this game is a thing of beauty, and enjoy it, mate.
Wait until I start explaining the games that I hate in the next segment,
Yeah,
and then we'll see how it goes then. So in our main section, I attempt to drag the other players over to the dark side. And how I'm going to do this is, well, one of the best characters in Star Wars showed me the path of how to drag you all to the dark side, where he said, fear is the path to the dark side, because fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Apologies anyone who's expecting me to do a Kermit Yoda accent there, but that was not going to happen.
Star Wars.
I'm a little bit sad.
Yeah.
Miss Piggy.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about games that people feared, made people angry, that people hated, and caused suffering. And then by the end of it, you are all going to hate board games just like me.
I was going to say, what is your why here, Adrian? Is it literally because you just want us to be like you?
Yeah, because you tell me that I do nothing but hate board games.
It's true.
And I thought that, well, if I'm going to get this, I might as well tar you all with the same brush and take you down the path of hating board games.
I like
Fair
it.
enough.
Yeah.
It's true. By the end of this, I guarantee you will never love another board game again.
That'll be the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
He's killed the podcast.
We've had a wonderful run, guys.
Every couple of weeks, we just talk about games we hate. I played this, and it was rubbish.
That's
I
crap.
hate it.
It's going to be like the most
rubbish.
negative gaming podcast in history.
It is. I did all the small things last episode because it was all about joy, because I knew I was going to do this episode where it was then all about fear and hatred.
I meant from here on out and be like, played this, it was shit.
Well, if the notable thing I did was destroy the podcast, at least I did something notable.
That's it.
That's true.
That's it.
Well done.
Thanks. So let's talk about fear. So a game that you feared for one reason or another. Go on then, Chris. Tell us about the game that you feared.
The game that I feared is a game I've actually played recently, is Frostpunk. Just to its sheer, in my eyes, complexity. There is so much going on with it that it's just... It took me 2 hours out of a 5-hour game to figure out what the hell was going on. And I was just like, right, okay, everyone's dying now. Brilliant. Let's try and fix that, shall we? But yeah, it was a scary game going in, but after about 2 or 3 hours or so, it was a long game anyway.
It was.
You kind of got the grips of it and it was okay. But going into it, I was like, oh, God, this is a lot to deal with. Jesus. Right, okay. Let's go. Woo! And then, yeah, there we go.
Because you won this, right? You won a copy.
Yeah, I did win. I won a copy of it from the raffle, yeah.
Which is awesome, right?
Yes.
Because it's not a cheap board game. It's one of the expensive ones.
Yeah. So I've unshrink wrapped it, I've unpopped it, and I'm ready to play it at some point on my own, just to try and learn how to do it, and we'll go again from there. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of why, because I know you obviously won it, and I said, look, I've got a copy anyway. I'll teach you it. So we kind of set up a night, and here it is. You might like it, you might hate it, but at least you'll know.
Yeah.
And then you can decide what you want to do with it, right?
So I chose it as my fear option because it was scary.
Yeah, I get that.
It's like spinning plates.
It's
knowing that you're going to drop 3 to keep 4.
It's knowing that the computer game it's based on is well known, like has a legacy for being just brutal and making you make just horrible choices. It's like the War of Mind sort of thing, isn't it? Whereas no choice you make is going to be a great choice. You might make okay choices, but none of them are going to be great. So yeah.
And it's like whatever choice you make will have a consequence, and whether that consequence is happening next round or in 3 rounds' time, you don't quite know, but you know it's there. You know it's lingering. It's going to get you. It's just a matter of when it's going to get you, and are you prepared for it?
Yes.
And, yeah.
But it was great. I
You
really
enjoyed it, right?
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was
No,
good.
I'm glad because it's quite an investment of time, and it's not going to be for everyone that game. But yeah, I get the fear angle completely. It's like, ugh.
JP,
Yeah.
what game did you fear?
I think earlier on in my board gaming hobby space, the game that I feared, probably Tricarion. The reason why I feared it is because I was listening to podcasts and hearing about people's experiences trying to teach it, and I knew that would fall to me to deal with. So I kind of feared it because it's one of these games. It's quite intricate, and there's a key kind of life cycle with the tricks and how they all work. And you know, if you cock that up, the game is just awful to play because it's punishing. So yeah, I was kind of like, the pressure of trying to get that right in the teach, and knowing that we've got certain members of the group that like to min-max every turn, even on their first ever play. There's one opposite me, and another one called Curly, who also does that. So we want to make sure that the teach is as good as it can be, so that people can kind of enjoy their first play. Because a lot of the time, people, they might bounce off a game because of that. And I can tell with Tricarion that you could absolutely have a crap game and go, nope, not for me. So yeah, I kind of feared it, but just kind of put in the prep, and I did a few solo games with that one actually to make sure I got it right. But hopefully it didn't go too bad. So we're still playing it today. So yeah, I think that's the first instance that I felt the fear. If that makes sense.
Good. Rob.
So for me, it was a game that we saw at Essen quite a lot, and there was a lot of hype around the game, and you guys went off and played it. I looked at the board and was like, nope, not for me. But managed to play it at the Game and Rules weekend, and we sat down and we played it. And I think this kind of began my confidence of being able to play a lot more complicated games that I didn't necessarily think that I could play and understand. And it's Nuclear. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I didn't do particularly well at it, but I understood all the concepts. I understood the rules.
You beat me.
Again, I didn't do particularly well at it, but
It's a great point.
It's a good point. I'm shit at that game.
But I really enjoyed it, and I could see why people... And even though I wasn't that great at it, the fact that I could do it gave me such a confidence boost in playing a lot more complex games than I had previously, like to the point where, we then played Brass Birmingham a few months later, and we sat down and it was like, right, I know I'm going to enjoy this. There was no apprehension about sitting down and potentially taking the space of somebody who's going to love that game for me just to try it. I thought, right, I'm going to enjoy this. I know what it is, even though they're different games, but obviously they have their similarities. So for me, it was a game that I really feared to sit down and play. And I think I was very close to backing out of it. And when you kind of set the game up and you're like, nope, come on, let's do this. And it was like, okay.
See, I don't understand that. Like you said that, and some other people in the group have said it, is I worry that I take the place of someone that really wants to play it, or like is more capable to play it.
Yeah, that would be better at it. And you're like, but that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know why you feel like that, or others may feel like that, because I know it's quite a common feeling. You're not the only one.
It's more that because we play a lot of games. We don't play We don't play the same game very often.
Yeah.
Unless it's a massive fan favourite. So, if you've had to wait 2 weeks, say you've waited 2 months or 6 weeks to play this game, and I've sat down and gone, yeah, it's not for me. Although it's not a problem, it feels like it's taken away from the experience of the game, but it's also, somebody else could have been a night. That could have been one of the, the whole reason we play them is for the experiences around the table a lot of the times, and that's why they're fun. And if you've dampened somebody else's experience of that night, it's a shame. It's a shame for everyone. I haven't enjoyed it, and I've made the night worse. So that's where my head was at. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you could sit down and do you know what? Like, I didn't feel like I did particularly well at it. I could see where I went wrong, but I thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and I didn't hinder anybody else's experience. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what gave me the confidence to then go and play, because a lot of problems are in your head. It's not until you kind of sit down and experience it, it isn't that way, that you don't realise. And doing that gave me so much confidence in going to play other games that now I don't particularly worry about whether I'm going to enjoy it or not. It's just like, yeah, cool, let's pull levers. And like Anachrony, it was like, cool, let's just do this and see what happens. And
I would never have predicted you even playing Anachrony, like even a year ago. Just the thought of you going, you know what, I'll give it a go. I'd be like, no, he would never do it. He would never do it.
yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
There you go. Nice. It's almost like you've gone to the light side.
I'm holding on. I'm holding on.
Never.
What about you, Adrian?
I've talked about mine before, so I'm not on the podcast, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. If you want, you can go back. Feels like probably 20 episodes at this point.
But they'll be able to hear it in crystal clear quality with
But
the
now
new
they will.
microphones.
That is true.
And mine is quite similar to JP's, which is The Great Wall. So pick this up, game that I really like the look of, changed a lot. And you know when you're preparing, like you, set the table up, have a look at it, get all the bits and pieces out, and then you watch a video. And I watched 3 videos, and not one of them I thought did a great job of explaining how to play this game. And you're like, well, if these professionals, which most of them are, or you know, they've been doing it a while, so they know how to set these things up. If they can't produce a great teaching video for this board game, how the hell is little old me
No chance.
gonna manage to get across all of these overlapping things? And there's kind of 4 seasons, but you need to know what's happening in all of them. And I got in my head, and that's what fear is ultimately to most extent, is I just got in my head and was like, I'm not going to do a great job of teaching this. I really want to play it. I really want to see what it's all about, but I just don't feel like I'm going to do it justice for teach. And to be fair, I don't think I did a bad job of teaching it. I kind of got across most of the points that I needed to, but it sat with me for way too long, just on a shelf, where I went, I don't know how I'm going to show this to anyone and do it justice. Everyone's going to just hate the game because I've mistaught it, sort of thing. And it just, built up in my head. And then eventually I taught it twice in the end, very close together. And the game wasn't for me, but the teach was not as bad as I expected it to be. Again, it's not an easy game to teach, I don't think, along with like the mind clashes of the world. It's not an easy game to teach. There's too many interlocking parts you got to start somewhere, and it's not easy to like differentiate where's the best place to start and where do you change from this rule set to that rule set, sort of thing. Now, that
it's not a linear teach, is
no.
it? No.
So I think in the end I did a pretty good job. But yeah, definitely a game that I feared. And all of our games here, we've talked about complexity. And I think that is a natural fear of a lot of board gamers. You hear it all the time is, maybe that complexity is not for me. And it genuinely might not be. You might have found your wheelhouse of where your complexity is. But I think complexity does breed fear of either the teach or the gaming, or, you know, as you kind of say, maybe I won't get it as quickly and I'll slow the game down or anything like that. I think that's what breeds it. And I did kind of expect when I was setting this up to hear a lot of games about complexity, because I think people naturally fear it in board games.
Yeah.
Excellent. So excellent. So
I went Mr. Burns then.
you did it. Excellent.
I don't know why.
Smithers.
So as we all know, fear then leads to anger. So JP, what game has made you angry?
See, if you'd asked me this 6 months ago, I would have said, I can't think of one. Until I played Barrage.
Yeah, I knew it.
And I don't generally tilt in board games. I'm generally quite level-headed. I play them, from suck at them, which is quite a lot. I kind of get on with it and enjoy the experience of just being at the table. But that one play, I was raging. And I just thought, fuck this. I don't want to play this anymore.
The look on your face, because we were sat next to you playing, I think it was June, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
At GridCon. And looking across at your face, I don't think I've ever seen you like that before.
No, and I didn't like it because I don't like losing my cool at anything.
You will.
Yeah. But I think,
time.
and I've played Barrage a few times. I think I said it on the podcast previously, but I played it 3 or 4 times even before this game, so I kind of know what it is. It wasn't like I was going into this game completely blind. I went in accepting the fact it is a bit of a mean git, and I just fell foul of it. I made some mistakes, and I was basically punished for the whole entire game. And I don't know, it could have been my mood on the day. Don't know what it is, and I just completely just thought, this is shit, and I just didn't know what to do. And I got to a game where I just didn't know what to do, to the point where I was like, what's the point, And yeah, it made me angry. But, I kind of carried on. I know Marcus was sat next to me and he was like, it'll be all right, JP, it'll be okay.
It was so funny.
And he was trying to, coach me back into the game, bless him. And I was, I was
That was probably a red rag to a bull, just like, shut up, I know what I'm doing.
It's fine. And it got to a point where I figured my way out of the puzzle. I mean, I didn't win, but I figured a way out so I could keep playing. And I think that's what it was. I just hit a wall. I just thought, I don't know what to do. I feel completely lost. So to your point, Rob, where you slowing the game down, I mean... Yeah, I was more frustrated, and not that any one person, just at the experience, and to the point now where I got so angry with it, I don't know if I want to play it again. And that's, it's weird because you think, well, it's only one time, but if a game invokes that feeling, why are you playing it?
It sours it for you.
Oh,
and you just go, no, I'm all right, thanks.
Yeah, completely soured the game, and I enjoyed it before. I've had good times playing it, but. Yeah, the dark side has gotten me, and I'm not sure I like it. So, yeah.
You will.
Yeah. So, no, Barrage. Bloody Barrage.
Go on then, Rob. What about you?
Well, it's a story we've talked about on the podcast.
We're going to hear it.
Yeah, the one time I just proper lost my shit was
Captain Sonar.
Yellow Submarine, I was going to say.
it was Captain Sonar, and... It was a beautiful moment, not for me, but for the gaming group. I think that was the first time, I lost my shit. Everyone laughed at me, and I didn't feel embarrassed at all. It was like, these are some really good people that I really enjoy hanging out with. For me, that was the moment where I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's no real dicks here. There's no judgment here. Everyone's laughing at me because I lost my shit. But nobody kind of held it against me. Nobody said anything. And I think it was because as well, everyone understood why I lost my shit.
So to explain it to the listeners.
Well, we're all in the same boat.
So Captain Sonar is a game where 8 of you can play the game, which we were playing for 8-player, where basically you are a submarine crew. One's the captain, one's the engineer, one's the navigator, and
the radio operator.
And one's the radio operator.
First mate.
So the only person that's really meant to speak is the captain saying which way the submarine is heading, north, south, east, west. But Curly, Chris, and I think it was Ian, were having a conversation about which way they were going. So Chris said north. Curly said, we can't go north. And then Ian was something like, no, we have to go east. And Chris was like, so we can't go north. Bear in mind, so at this point, they haven't moved, but they've given me 4 different directions, and I'm the radio operator. So
on the other team.
On the other team. So I'm trying to track their movement. And this happened for about 2 minutes. And they still hadn't moved. But by this point, I've got 10 different directions. And I don't know what the hell is going on. So I just proper lost my shit. And there was a quiet pause after I shouted at everyone. And then everyone just burst out laughing. But in that moment, I could have quite happily just thrown a chair against the wall.
I think thematically, you basically stopped the submarine. You got out of the submarine, shouted at the other sub for being not clear. And said, this is bullshit. If you're going to go north, just say you're going north. Don't go north, north, south, north, or east, west, north. What are you doing? Because I've drawn your line off the acetate sheet of paper, and that's you can't be there.
And the look, I can still see the look on Curly's face, because obviously up until that point, we'd all been quite nice.
Yeah.
There'd been no real, taking the mick or anything like that. It was all quite new, and you didn't want to insult anyone without
not stepping on eggshells, sort of thing,
Yeah, and I think for me that was the moment where I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be fun. Even though it wasn't my finest moment, it was obviously a moment that will go forever, live in infamy.
Who's next on the anger train?
It would be me. So a game that made me angry, and I played it a few times, even after the first time it made me angry, and it still made me angry again and again and again. So obviously a glutton for punishment. But it's Rising Sun.
Okay.
So a game that I don't know if this group has played.
Played Blood Rage. It's prequel, shall we say, but not played Rising Sun now.
So Rising Sun has a couple of mechanics that doesn't quite sit right with me. So there's one is the pairing. So you've each got like a half a yin yang symbol, and you can pair them up. And the first time I played it, I thought, well, this game must be broken at player counts, because if you have an odd number, you have someone who's not paired up, and therefore they can't gain the benefits. And I think there's supposed to be like a bit of back and forth, and I'll offer you this, I'll offer you that. But when I played it, everyone just stuck in the same pairs the whole game, which was just like, that doesn't sit right with me. And there's certain benefits, but also there's certain things of, if you're paired up and you both go into the same area, you don't unpair. It's just whoever put the most troops in there gets it. So you can pair up for bad reasons as well. But the bit that got me really angry, and I did apologise to the person who taught it originally, because I thought they were just doing a very bad job of teaching a game, was the combat. So with the combat, you've got like a hidden board that you've got these coins, and you put a certain amount of coins into each area. And one of the areas, just kill all your own troops. And I could not understand for the life of me, while they were teaching it, why you would you'd put all your troops into combat and then deliberately choose to murderize them. And the point is supposed to be that you get victory points if you also win. So like you kind of go through it stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And I think stage 1 is, are you going to bid to kill all of your troops? And if you have the most points in that, you get to kill all your own troops. But a later point is, if you then win the poetry section, if I remember it correctly, you write...
That's not what I thought it was going to
be.
No, war, fighting, poetry.
You write the history of that war, so you turn it into a glorious death.
Oh, okay.
And therefore you get victory points. So even though you don't win the region, you get victory points per person you've killed.
For culture.
Yeah. But it's just such an alien concept. And watching someone trying to teach someone and me going, but why on earth would I put all my troops in to kill them all off? Not really understanding like how many victory points are in the game or anything like that, or they're quite hard to get hold of troops to put in the game as well. You don't have a lot of them. Just made me really, really angry, I'll be honest. And as I say, I had to apologise to the person who taught it, because I genuinely thought they were just a bad teacher, because the game just didn't make sense. And you could see several people around the table going, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And when I played it a few more times, the game still didn't feel right. It still felt like every player count I played was the wrong player count, and the combat was just janky. So it continued to make me angry after that. But that first game made me really angry, because I was like, you need to explain to me why I'm going to kill off all of my own people. And they're like, because you'll get points. But I need to hold this province. So why would I care about killing my own people? And there's a whole lot in it that just didn't make sense at the time, to the point I just got really angry. And they eventually just went, well, you just put some coins on this board and we'll go through it. And it's like, yeah, but we're halfway through a game. Like, this is about a third of the way through the game. This is my first combat. I want to understand it. But they were just like, right, well, just put some coins down and I'll tell you what you've done.
You did a thing. Congrats.
Yeah, and that's what it turned into. But you could tell the mood at the table changed quite significantly at that point, and we had to kind of steer it back round just because I was so fuming.
See, I can't imagine you getting angry about anything.
Yeah, it's...
Really?
I do more passive aggression.
Yeah, he moans a lot, but I like outright anger.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah, you're right, actually. I don't think I've seen Adrian angry.
You haven't. No.
You won't like him when he's angry.
Yeah, exactly. Go on then, Chris. Tell us about your anger.
Well, my anger is, there's a variety of this type of game, with any game that is a worker placement game. I'm going to pick out one in particular, because I know I've played it a bunch of times, and every time I get really infuriated by it. It's not by other people. It is mainly by other people.
But not solely.
Not solely because of other people. It's mainly my own ineptitude to plan ahead. It's literally, I go, oh, I need to do a thing, and then I become so fixated on that thing that I don't plan 3 turns ahead. Oh, thanks. And you need wood later.
I've got wood.
No, thanks.
Do you need sheep?
Yes. So I get to the point where I plan the turn, and I've become so fixated on that one turn, that what I need to do, I then forget what I'm supposed to be doing 3 turns ahead, and then by that point, everyone's taken exactly what I needed at that time, and then I just go, well, I'll just sit on my arse for a minute then, shall I? And just wait, and then do something else for a little bit of a while. So the game I've chosen is Lords of Waterdeep. because I played that a bunch of times, mainly with Curly. Not going to say that he's the one that caused me anger, but I love him.
He'll enjoy that.
But he did.
Don't give him the satisfaction.
No, he doesn't.
He is Palpatine.
No, I love him very much. Dark Lord.
Dark Lord.
But yeah, that game infuriates me to a point where I actually annoyingly want to have it so I can be better at it.
Oh, right.
It angers me to a point where I want to be better at it because I don't need to get angry at it. Being angry at something is pointless.
No, I feel your pain, mate. I get that.
I am particularly happy that an entire main mechanism of board gaming makes you angry. That is,
It's not Lords of Waterdeep. It's worker placement.
It's worker placement.
It's exactly
never going to work.
It's exactly what I want to hear.
Thank you.
It's good.
That's a good solid 20% of board games just written off there.
Yep, that's fine by me.
All right.
Rage.
Fair. That's interesting you've said that one.
Yeah, I agree. So after anger leads to hate. So Rob,
Yep.
tell me about a game that you hate.
Scythe.
Do you want to pause before you say it?
Nope.
Game you hate.
Scythe. No. I've put a lot of thought into this.
Doesn't seem like it.
I'm not saying that Scythe is a bad game. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if it never existed, I'd sleep better at night.
Okay, that's
Strong statement.
That's a lot of hate.
That's a lot of hate. No, it's not. Like I get why people enjoy it. It's just not for me. We played Fenris. Is that what the
Rise of Fenris? Yeah.
Rise of Fenris, which is the campaign. We played it with 7 people.
Yeah, 6. I think it might have been 6. But yeah, a lot of people.
We played it with 6 people. And by the end of the first chapter of the campaign, I was like, I hate this game. Like,
it's not where you want to be in a campaign game when you've got 7.
No, and other people are relying on you to play it now. And I'm thinking, we've got another 6 chapters of this. I can't do it. So I tried to make the game fun for me, which enraged JP. Like, to the point.
You're just doing stuff for other people. Like, Curly just comes along like, oh, Rob, you don't want those resources, do you? No, not really. Yeah,
said, can I come in and have them this turn? And I went, yeah. And the double arm flail straight up in the air came straight up from JP. He's like a one-man Mexican wave. Like,
so what the fuck are you doing?
And I was like, because I'm not enjoying it, but I thought I needed to be there for you guys to carry on.
No.
So he literally was like, get out.
So when I said, look, we were booking the next one, and I was like, look, do you know what? This game's not for me. Can I back out without ruining the game?
Yes.
And he instantly went, yep. And he turned his back on me and walked off. But again, like around the table, everyone's chaining 2 or 3 things. Like, you know, and when you're waiting that long for your turn, and I go, I'll have a worker, please. And then it goes round again. I didn't enjoy any of it. My mechs look shit. Everyone else had Ed.
You had the tractor ones.
I had tractors. Yeah. Everybody else had Ed 209 war units, and I had bloody tractors.
You had a gun on your tractor.
Oh, great! But like it, and like Tambo took over my faction, and he did really well with them. And I'm like,
They're
awesome. I'm sure they are, but no.
It's fair, mate. I'm not trying to get you to like it.
No.
I don't want you to play it ever again.
No, I think that would make us both happy.
I don't want you to play it ever again.
I don't. It's miserable. I mean, the fact that you played a game that's competitive and you were co-oping with the best Scythe player in our gaming group.
If I can't win, I was going to stand on the shoulder of giants, mate.
Yeah, which is great. You just help the guy who doesn't need any help in that game. It's like, this is bullshit. So, yeah.
Yes.
It's working. Do it. My hatred game is, again, I feel like it could start and encompass an entire genre if I really wanted it to, but
do it.
It's the Chameleon.
Yeah.
Which is a kind of social deduction lying game. So everyone gets a sheet of paper that has like 20 odd words on it or something along those lines. So it'll be like, oh, here's a load of professions, people's professions. And one of you has just got a sheet that has the word chameleon or something like that on it. And they roll the dice so everyone knows what profession you're going after, but you don't know what the numbers are. I can't remember what it is, but I think you've got the professions, but you don't know which one out of all of them it is.
I can't remember if you get them or not, or you just know that the theme is profession.
Yeah, I think you get to see some of them, but it's all in a random order or something that you don't get the number. So that whereas they get the number and they get to look, and so you're kind of going around the table and it will be like they could wear a scarf or they could wear a belt, and it gets to you, and
they might have skin on their face.
And it gets to you, and you're like, okay, well, I could have lied about that until the person just next to me just dropped a doozy, and now I've got to change in the space of 2 because everyone else is going around knowing what they're going to say, and it got to me, and I think we played it twice, and then everyone around the table could absolutely tell that we were playing like this nice light games
party game,
sort of do loads of little ones, and we got to this game, and after I think a second attempt at it, they all went, yeah, should we move on? Because my hatred for it was that visible, because each time I think I was the chameleon the first time, and kept going round, and you could just instantly see that they knew I was lying, because the person before me threw a spanner in the works, and you had to make it up within a second, and it was like I need to figure out a new lie within a second. It's just impossible. Like, to me individually, it felt impossible. I reckon it's difficult for most people, but for someone who's rightly or wrongly not great at lying and coming up with stuff on the spot, I found it really impossible, and I just absolutely hated that game. And I can never see a reason why I'd ever want to play it ever again. There's no combination of anything that would make me go, oh yeah, Chameleon, let's do that again. I think it's one of my worst rated games. In fact, I think it is my worst rated game on BGG, where I've ranked every game I've played.
What did you give it?
I think I gave it 2.
Oh, generous.
Because I think there is an ability in there for it to be a game. I don't think it's fundamentally completely broken. I reckon it's just mostly broken.
That's fair.
Let's move on, shall we?
Sure, why not? The game I hate is probably something that everyone knows very well, and everyone can probably understand why I hate it so much. And you can probably guess it. Rob's already guessed it before we even started.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Twilight Imperium.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah. So for me, it's a game that I never seem to do very well at. I seem to do nothing the entire game, and it takes 8 hours to play. It is incredibly long, and I just found that I just don't get it. I don't get it. The best part of it was stopping for having lunch. That's the best part of the game for me. Is just going, right, that's
Dinner's
it.
ready.
Right, perfect.
Oh, if they ever get to quote anything about that game, that has to
Take that one. I'm more than happy.
The best thing about this game was stopping and having lunch by Chris Pouncey off the Who's Doing Anyway podcast.
That'll go on the Kickstarter. Yeah.
Yep. You can use it everywhere and anywhere.
That is amazing.
Take it from me, it's fine. Yeah, I think the first time I ever played it, I always play a game twice, at least twice, to make sure that I actually enjoy it.
First game, you didn't enjoy the first 8 hours.
The first game is always a teach and a learn. No matter how long the game is, it's a teach and a learn game. The first one always is. So I'll go, right, even though I didn't enjoy it, I didn't really get on with it, I know kind of what to do now. So next time I'll be better, and I might have a game plan. And it was just the same thing of me doing nothing for 8 hours and then eating some food. And that's just the way it works for me.
It's like the perfect day for me. Do nothing for 8 hours and eat food.
Thinking about doing nothing, not doing nothing in general, but thinking about trying to do something, not doing it, and then just eating some food.
That means you're in on the next TI then.
Yep, Rob. You're in.
I told you, I'll happily play as long as I can bring like my Xbox or a Switch or something.
That's not how it works. You played the game of TI.
Then I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, I think you're the only one around this table that actually likes that game.
Where? Yeah, I like it.
I get why people like it. It's a space opera, right? It's like Dune the movie in board game format.
It's the fact that for me it's an event game. So if I would not want to play it every week. If I played it every week, it would get on my nerves, and I don't know how to fit it in.
And you'd probably be divorced.
And I probably would be divorced. But I like it. You know, the fact that it comes around maybe twice a year, and I do look forward to it. And that,
yeah, you guys make a proper day of it.
Make a day of it.
Yeah. So yeah,
there's not many games.
That's the reason why I came the second time was for the roast dinner.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't remember doing it. I might have done a shepherd's pie once.
Might have been, yes, actually.
In the early days of our gaming group, I used to kind of like, I'm going to make a real effort, and people coming around, I'm going to actually cook something. Now I'm not. I can't be.
Now you're lucky if you put your
trousers on. Are you even dressed?
Go on then, JP. What game did you hate?
I think this was the trickiest for me because I don't tend to hate games.
You do, you just don't like to admit it. You want to come all across all nice and lovely.
But
No one can hate games.
Deep-seated hatred.
The one game, when I sat and thought about it, so what game do I hate? And I don't really want to play it, and I wish it never existed. And Chris has already mentioned it, which is Lords of Waterdeep.
That's fine.
I don't like it. I've got to a point where even looking at it, just
It has a place.
yeah, in the bin. It's boring. It's thematically crap.
Quote.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, I love many Euro like the next person, but I don't know. There's just something about it. It's too basic for me. The mandatory quests are just bullshit.
They are bullshit.
We've taken them out.
But then there's no catch-up mechanic.
Yeah, what's the point of the game? I just think, I mean, with the expansion, I'll give it that.
Hatred.
With the expansion, it makes it okay. But without it, ugh. And at the point I see it in the gaming group and the events go up, we'll just play Lords of Waterdeep, and I'll just go, oh, I don't know.
Do you immediately just go, not going?
Yeah, I immediately go, not going, and I don't know, I just don't like it.
It's an amuse-bouche. It's
not.
It's too long to be an amuse-bouche.
It's a nice way to start a gaming event.
No, it's
Sometimes it's a nice
And
way.
it keeps getting wheeled out time and time again.
It's like watching Friends.
My Friends is fun. But there you go. That's just my opinion. I know I'm in
We're
the
all
minority.
valid to the opinion this evening.
I'm completely in the minority, and Becky's probably listening to this going, whoa, it's one of her favourite games.
She's raging right now.
Probably, but you know, there are things that she doesn't like that we love, and that's the beauty of this.
That's the beauty of board games.
Beauty of the hate section. But yeah, I try to think. I struggle to really hate something, but that's the one. I don't know. It just pisses me off. As a game, it pisses me off. Not because when you play it, it pisses me off. Just the thought of it, the idea of it. I just think, go away. Your time is like you should belong in the archives now. And that's what I think. I don't know.
I feel like if it wasn't the IP it was, where it was owned by Wizards, it would have had a second edition by now, and they would have taken out a lot of the wrinkles of the reason why I personally don't like to play that game, because it feels like it's now aged enough that quite often people would have taken a swing at a second edition, and it's a game that I feel like needs a second edition.
Is Dune Imperium like the kind of second edition to what Lords of Waterdeep could be?
Can you take that out of your mouth right now?
I think there are replacements, if that's what you're saying.
I'm not talking about like, you know, the sand and everything else, but you know, if
Just the sand.
Just the sand,
The giant worms.
sand and the space travel and everything else, but
it's a worker placement game, if that's what you're asking.
Like, if you let's go back to worker placement games. You know that Chris will never play, as we've just found out.
Yeah.
I never knew this. I never thought you actually raged about worker placement.
ironically, I think you'd like Lost Ruins, so you know.
But out of all of the worker placement games that exist, and people still want to play Lords of Waterdeep, blows my mind, my tiny little mind. That's what it does. It blows my mind because there are so many better versions of what that game is trying to do.
But they're a lot heavier.
No, not really. Not a lot heavier.
I struggle with Dune
You could
Imperium.
play Stone Age. Stone Age is a much better game, and that's simpler.
Loads.
Fair enough. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you're wrong.
And Cive's better. Just saying.
I'll just take the genre, worker placement.
Right, and so as we all know, hate leads to suffering. So this was one of my harder ones, I'll be honest, as to work out which game made me suffer or makes me suffer. So the one I've gone with is Survive Escape from Atlantis.
Oh.
So for those who don't know, you start with a load of meeples in the center section, and slowly that central island is going to get smaller and smaller. So what you're trying to do is get your meeples onto boats or just get them to swim to your island. Where the suffering comes from is the fact that those meeples have a number underneath that you're supposed to remember, and you count up the number that you get, not the number of people, the meeples, but the actual number that's hidden on the bottom that you're never allowed to look at again. So and I think it is dyslexic, ADHD kind of memory is terrible. So I immediately look at, okay, this is the 6 number and this is the 1 number, and I must remember those at the very least. Everything in between is what it is, but I need to get that 6 number off, and people will try and work out which one's mine and then try and feed those meeples to the sharks and the squids or whatever it is that's in the sea. So I put those meeples down and instantly forget which is the 6, which is the 5, which is the 4, etc. Or if I remember, I'm so intently trying to remember that people can absolutely see, and it's the first thing that they'll drown.
Because your eyes are burning holes in the
because I'm desperately trying to remember which was that number, and it causes me. I've played this game. It's a favourite of someone from one of the other groups I play in. So I've played it 8, 9 times, and I feel like I suffer through every single one of them. Genuinely, like, it's not a game I hate or I think is mechanically bad or anything like that. I personally just suffer all the way through it because you kind of start kicking yourself. Why does my brain not remember what the number is? I've got 6 meeples and 6 numbers to remember. Okay, the meeples move around the board a bit, but for the most part, you only really need to focus on 2 or 3 of them. And my brain can't even handle that from a memory point of view in kind of the heat of the moment of board games. So yeah, it's just a game that is fine. It's not a particularly great game because it, I don't think anyone who said they would suffer through it, has to suffer through a game, would say that game's great. But I don't hate it, don't like it. Just every single time I suffer all the way through it.
The fact you've played it 9 times.
Oh, I hate it.
Do you know what I mean?
From a point of view of, I wish that someone didn't have it as one of their favourite games because, and again, this is like down dark side, right? Is I wish that person didn't like that game as much. Yeah. Because every time they turn up, we don't see them very often, but every time they turn up and I look in their bag, I know that it's going to be in there. And I'm like, oh, we're going to have to play that because that, you go around and say, should we each pick a game? And I know that they're going to pick that game, and I know I'm just going to have to suffer.
Atlantis?
Yeah. No, it's just, yeah.
Fine, okay. If I have to.
It's my game I just suffer through semi-silently.
So there is good in you. That's what we're trying to say, because you are willing to put your differences aside, play a game that you don't necessarily like 9 times.
Don't twist my words against me.
There is good in him. I know it. I can sense it.
Right, moving on. There you go. That's my game anyway.
Yeah, fair. Who's next?
Chris.
So the game that I suffer the most at, I've played it probably 3 or 4 times, and every time I get absolutely blown out of the water by someone else playing the game. It's Game of Thrones.
I love that game. And I love it for that reason.
I know. And I hate everyone about it. I hate people telling me that I should watch it to start with anyway.
Oh, you should watch it.
Because I've never watched it. See?
I was saying earlier. Honestly.
I want to feel the hatred. I want to feel it.
You never watched it?
No.
You've not even watched like a couple of the first episodes?
No.
You should. To be fair,
I'm feeling the hatred. Come on.
No, he's heard it.
No, bring it on.
Look at him.
The first half is great, and the second half is not great.
It will totally be my thing, but I'm not going to watch it. Just to make everyone hate me. It's great.
Yeah, that's allowed. Good. I'm loving it.
It's my choice. I don't care.
But no, going back to the game, it was literally every time I get given a faction, I go, right, they play kind of like this, or there's a certain aspect to them, the way that they work, and I go, okay, I'll try and play by that. And then someone else comes along and just goes, and sweep, and that's your game done. I'm like, thanks, brilliant. And I'll just sit here waiting for everyone else to finish the game. Love you all. See you later.
That is Game of Thrones.
Yes. So
how long ago was it since you played?
Probably about a year or so, probably.
Oh, okay.
If I have to put a date on it, it's probably about that long.
Okay.
So if I played it again, I would still have the same opinion.
Yeah.
No, it'd be the same. I'm just crap at it.
So for me, no surprises on this one. It's Food Chain Magnate. It had to come in.
You love that game.
Well, this is the thing. I had to think. I knew this would feature in this episode. I just didn't know where. I was like, do I hate it? Do I fear it? Does it make me angry? Or does it make me suffer? And I was like, no, I think it's the latter. I think it's the suffering. And because at the time, I was playing it, and trying to do what I was doing, and it was what it was. And then afterwards, I thought, oh, maybe give it another go. And I think the thing with that game is I thought I might have liked it.
Yep.
And then had an event planned, I don't know, 3-4 weeks later, and I was just dreading it. Like in my mind, I was going through this turmoil of like weeks ago, and I really want to play it. But then I was like, but I don't want to play it. But I really want to. No, I don't know if I want to play it. And I was just going through this real back and forth mentally, and it was just like beating me up. So it's kind of suffering.
It was beating you up before you were even playing it.
Just the thinking about it. I probably gave it too much brain power on whether I liked it or whether I didn't like it, trying to figure it out in my own mind. So it was torturing me.
Well, it was a game that was not readily available.
Yeah.
You managed to get a copy with the ketchup expansion and all that kind of stuff in. And I remember...
It wasn't cheap.
No, and it wasn't cheap. And I remember you kind of being like, look, I think this is going to be a game I like. And then I remember you talking to me and Davey, because we played it, the three of us, the first time round.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about it and sort of just getting that... I think he should give it another go. And I still think you should have given it another go. But it was clearly causing you that much genuine suffering leading up to it that I understood why you cancelled it. And I think it's a game naturally that makes you suffer anyway, because you make a mistake early doors and there's no recovering from it. It's kind of the design of Splotters is once you make a mistake, that mistake is made and you're not recovering from it. So it's that 2 hours of watching.
Yeah, if you make a mistake,
you fall further and further behind. And so I think it's naturally, I think Splotter games are, and especially Food Chain Magnet being the one I've played and not just watched other people play, that I think it does actually lead itself to that feeling anyway, like in game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could definitely see on you that it was causing you sort of, doubts and fears and all that kind of stuff.
And it's just a game that I think to get good at, I would have had to have invested like at least 10 plays in. And it was just like, this ain't going to happen. It's made me suffer, not because it made me angry. I don't think it has ever made me angry or the fact that I hate it. It's just... Yeah, I've given it too much brain power, I think, and I've just wanted it out of my life because it was just easier. I'm happier without it.
You're suffering now.
No, I'm not, because it's gone. And I'm quite happy to talk about my pain.
Jumanji, mate, it's still out there somewhere.
Yeah. What about you, Rob?
For me, it's kind of a suffering of my own making, really, which is even worse somehow. So I can see Adrian smiling at me.
He's created his own hell. I love it.
And you talked about it briefly. It was a cock-up that I made when I suggested a game.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, oh, that game looks nice and chilled and fun and not too long. I know, let's play The Gallerist. Thinking it was Art Society, which are two very different games.
Extremely different games.
So I didn't hate the game. I didn't hate it, and I thought it was a very pretty game considering there's not a lot of art on the board. Do you know what I mean? I got its simplistic style. I kind of like the elegance of it.
It's a very clean looking game.
Yeah, and I got the little easels, like, you know, that you put the paintings on and all that. I thought that was very cute. But it was my first Lacerda.
I love the fact your first Lacerda was you didn't even know you were going to play your first Lacerda.
So Adrian's eyes went wide when I said, should we play The Gallerist? He was like, absolutely. I was like, awesome. I love the artwork. It's a lot like the old Broken Sword game. And he looked at me like I was speaking another language all of a sudden. But he kind of nodded his head and was like, okay.
He was like, sure, Rob.
You guys go and get a drink. I'll set it up. Awesome, Adrian. Thank you very much. So I come back to the table holding a Coke and gone, what the fuck is this? And he's like, this is The Gallerist. So we sat down, and I get why you love it. Yeah. I get why people love it. For me, it was just unnecessarily complicated. And in these sort of games, I am a man in a canoe with one oar that forgets he can change sides. I just go round and round and round. And all you people are making these amazing moves and making all this amazing stuff happen. And I've got no idea what's going on. So for me, I had to go through it because I requested the game. So I couldn't really back out of it. Not that I would have backed out of it, but yeah, that was a kind of... And you know, when you want somebody else to enjoy something that you enjoy, and if they're not enjoying it, it can make the experience suck. And I'm trying to be positive about this game. And
at least you tried, because JP didn't.
I was trying to be like, and I get why you enjoy it. And like I said, the board's elegant. It's very pretty. There's just a lot of choices in there. And I get, you know, I panic. And it was just, yeah. So for me, it was a suffering of my own making.
I think it's quite similar to what sort of you said about Barrage, JP, earlier.
Yeah.
Is it can be hard to work out where to get on to the cycle, and there are some. I think unlike Barrage, there are some more obvious choices, but I think again it's one of those where if you can't quite see the puzzle to start with, you're going to suffer. And unlike Barrage, it's a suffering of your own making because it's just you haven't chosen. The blocking is not the strongest. It's a bit like, is it Lisboa or whatever, where really what's happening is you're giving people more chances by making the wrong choice. You're not really ever blocking yourself off from making choices.
Yeah.
And so I think it is one of those games where I think it's the simplest game, but I think
which is terrifying.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those games where if you don't see, and JP, I know you experienced this as well a little bit, which is if you can't quite see where to get on to the process, to the map, or maybe you make the wrong choice early doors and you can see everyone else getting a little bit further ahead of you.
Yeah.
It can cause that sort of what have I done? How have I done it? How am I not getting this just yet? But I think it's the easiest, but again, this is personal opinion, I think it's the easiest one to make that first decision on, because I think Weather Machine does it, I think Kanban does it, I think Vinhost does it. I think they all do that thing where you need to work out where to get on to start making progress.
I think it got to about the last fifth of the game, and I was like, I knew what I should have done at the start 2 hours ago.
But I'm not playing it again.
I'd give it a go.
Would you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I would. But I wouldn't expect to be playing a light-hearted puzzle placement game and then the Gallerist. They're two very different games.
I love the debate. When do we put the artwork on the wall and start, organising it next to it? When do we do that? Oh, we don't do that. No.
And I was like,
What? Oh. But you have played Art Society now.
And I bloody loved it. It was great.
It's a very good game.
So
very different though.
Incredibly different. So yeah, it was a suffering of my own making because of my own assumption that I knew what I was doing.
fair.
Well, there we go. So you may not quite have realised it yet, but I've definitely started you down the path to the dark side. It's only a matter of time before your eyes turn red, and as do your lightsabers. It's fine because what we're actually doing is bringing balance to the Force.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, talking about bringing balance to the Force, it's kind of what I'm trying to bring through with the theme of the Would You Rather. So for those who may not have listened to it, we did our board game battleground for 2024, where we worked out what was our collective favourite game of the year. And the last two in the final round was Terraforming Mars and Twilight Imperium.
Chris's favourite.
So I think we may have already started to discuss this a little bit, but not knowing where we were going with the Would You Rather, you have two options. You have the light side, which is that one of those two games, everyone who wants to play board games must play that game every year because you're going to bring the joy of that board game. The dark side is that the other one is going to be banished for all eternity. No one can ever play that game ever again. Now, you might see the light side and the dark side a different way around. You might see yourself as saving someone from ever playing that game again. But which ones are we picking as, if you are to play board games, you must play either Terraforming Mars or Twilight Imperium at least once a year? And which one are you picking to banish, to delete that game out of everyone? No one can have it as a collection. No one's ever allowed to play it again. Terraforming Mars or Twilight Imperium?
Should we let Chris go first? I think we know where this is
Just
going.
get the easy one out of the way first, shall we?
Yeah, shall we?
To be honest, I've never played Terraforming Mars.
Have you not?
No, so I'm more than happy to play that once a year to see how it goes. Burn in hell,
Twilight
Imperium. You'll never play played ever again. That's me.
So do we have to pick what we do for each game? Or is it literally...
No, one is one and one is the other.
Which are you picking the light side where somebody has to play your game?
One of those games.
So one of those games is being played every year by every board gamer, and one of them is to be banished for all eternity.
So nobody can play
So
it.
no one can ever play it.
Well, I'm going good. I'm going to redeem myself because everyone should play at least one of those games once a year.
Which one is it?
Oh, Twilight Imperium, baby. Nah, I think if I was going to be honest,
I'm going to be sick.
Terraforming Mars. I think it's probably the one that
I've
I've
heard nothing but good things about it. I've just never had the chance to play it. I know you guys all love it.
I think to be kinder to people, that would be easier on their time.
Be kinder to people.
No, yeah, but to say everyone has to play TI once a year means they've got to find that time.
Well, they don't have to play 8-player TI. They can play like 4-player TI, and it takes 4 hours, 3 and a bit hours, whatever it is.
Still takes longer. But yeah, no, I'll go Terraforming Mars because I think the majority would like it over TI. So I'm going Jedi, baby.
Dark side, baby.
So you're getting rid of?
I'm getting rid of. And the reason being, right, I've heard so many stories about this game. I've only ever seen it being played once, and that was at this year's full board gaming weekend, where they played it for 12 hours.
Then they had lunch in the middle.
But they played it for 12 hours.
Yeah.
I went over to that table 5-6 times. They all look miserable as fuck. Every single one of those players looked fucking miserable. And afterwards, do you remember Jay came over and he just sat down and he was like, I'm broken. You played a board game. Like, no, burn it. TI, burn it.
But that means you're making everyone play Terraforming Mars.
Then that's cool. That's cool with me. I like TI. I don't love it. I like it. And it's a great game. There's other games I'd rather play. And to be honest, I've only ever played it against people that have played it possibly hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Which is the hard bit. Like, it's hard to go in at that entry level.
Someone's played it a lot of times.
People don't know every single card in the game. Like, so I'd still rather everybody play TM at least once a year.
Yeah.
And
then just so you can banish TI. That's kind of
And ironically, I've never played it. I've got nothing against the game. I really like the artwork, but on the box, because that's as close as I've come to it. But judging from your reactions and seeing people play it, I want no part of that. Thank you very much.
So I think I'm actually going to upset the apple cart here.
Doesn't sound like you.
Because I'm going to suggest that everyone plays TI once a year, even though I don't actually like the game.
Not what I thought you'd say.
No, and there's a twofold reason. So first of all, that means I'm binning Terraforming Mars. And I think Terraforming Mars has many competitors for similar games that I think do it better and certainly do it in a shorter playtime. Jesus. So I am binning Terraforming Mars because I think there are other games that do very similar out there that people should be playing instead of Terraforming Mars. And I think TI is a unique experience. I think maybe every year is a bit much.
Chris would not agree with you.
But I think it is. I don't think there's any game that quite captures. And I think like Game of Thrones is kind of similar-ish. It's that kind of event game where you're talking and kind of competing against each other. But I think Twilight Imperium, although I don't like so much of the dice rolling, I think Twilight Imperium does do a good job of allowing you to choose your own route. Are you going to be the warm? And okay, that's chosen slightly by what race you pick, but are you going to war? Are you going to go and find, just chase the objectives or whatever it is? But I feel like while I wouldn't suggest everyone plays TI every year, I would suggest that everyone plays TI at least once to understand it, to get the experience, etc. Terraforming Mars does not need to be played every year because there are so many games out there that are Euro-y engine builders that do it better and in shorter time. Even Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, to me, is the same game or a similar enough game done in half the time.
I mean, you're right about the half the time.
Yeah.
But that for me is where it stopped.
That was the only thing you were right about.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just get a different feel for it. Ares. I don't mind it, but I just prefer the base. I prefer normal TM. There you go.
There we go.
Opinions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at that. We all had different ones and we didn't start a fight. It's possible, people. Woohoo.
Nice.
And that brings us on to our penultimate turn. And that brings us on to our penultimate turn, where we talk about what we are looking forward to over the next few weeks. So, Chris, what are you looking forward to?
Well, due to the current success of the TV show that's just recently come out for Fallout, I've already had one request from Tambo to play Fallout, and we've done it. And then literally the other day, JP also said, "Oh, by the way, can we play Fallout? Because I've been watching the show, and now I've been playing the video game, and I want to play the board game again." So I was like, okay. So we'll be playing that with the expansion, the New Fact California expansion, but we're going to play it the full Atomic Bond co-op mode, which JP's never done before.
That's what I'm intrigued about.
Yes.
Because I used to own Fallout, the base and New California. Played it a bit, had fun with it, got to a point where I was like, I'm done with it. Moved it on pretty early in the board gaming kind of hobby resurgence I had. And I always had a little issue with the game. The fact it's competitive was just stupid, in my opinion. And then New California added a co-op mission in it, which we played, which was better. I don't know, it just felt like something was missing. After like a couple of years, Atomic Bonds came out and said, "Oh yeah, we made it fully co-op. Everything's been converted. New mechanics have come in." And it was like, right, okay, that now looks interesting. But then, moved on, played other games. And you're right, the TV show just come out, loving it. And I just want to try it again. I'm really up for it.
So yeah, in the diary for a couple of weeks. So that'd be good.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
JP?
Mine is a game I wanted to play at my birthday weekend, but didn't get round to, which was Teotihuacan. It's always hard to say, even worse to spell.
Bravo, sir.
Even worse to spell. And it's a game I really enjoy. It's pretty much a dice movie Euro game where you go down around a rondel on the board and build like a pyramid and stack in the middle. And it's a game. I don't know why I don't play it as much as I do, because every time it gets to the table, I thoroughly enjoy it. And then I leave it in the box for about 2 years, and then I play it again.
It's just because you struggle to say it.
Well, yeah.
Do you want to play
thingy? But yeah, it's really good. It's really meaty. I've got the latest expansion, which is weirdly called the expansion. And I've not played that one before, so we're going to try and mix that in and see what it does.
Doesn't sound like you putting expansions into games.
Well, I've played it with the pre-classic period a lot, which gives you the asymmetric kind of priests and priestesses, and that kind of gives you an ability, and they're quite fun to use, and they're little modules. It's very modular, the expansion, so you can kind of throw in bits or some of it and none of it or whatever. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I need to give that a go. And I've got Tekenu as well that I picked up last Expo that I still need to play. I haven't even read I opened it, looked inside, and there's some pretty bits in here, and then never even looked at the rulebook. But I do need to play that.
Mm-hmm. Do it, Rob.
Well, after your board gaming weekend and getting Skyrim to the table again, I'm probably going to just bust it out and leave it on the table at home again and kind of make my way through it solo if nobody else wants to join, because I really enjoyed playing it the other night. I want to kind of mess around with it and kind of
get past the first chapter.
Yeah. And but I've got a lot going on at the moment, so it's kind of hard to kind of set aside the time to for the events and everything else. I got my calendar's kind of full, so setting something up on the table and just kind of leaving it there and coming back to it when I've got a spare couple of hours. I think so that's probably what I'm gonna do.
Nice. For myself, so there's worth mentioning. So we have another episode out before the Expo, but that will be on the Wednesday before. So just wanted to remind everyone that we are doing a live episode, which we're really looking forward to. And we're going through kind of what that looks like at the moment and how we divide up the sections and all that kind of stuff. And it's actually quite fun to be organising this live episode. And I think it's fair to say we're all sort of quite passionate about trying to deliver the best live episode we can. Our first ever sort of one with an audience, really.
Yeah.
So
I think we feel quite privileged, right, to kind of do it. And you're right, we've never done it to a live audience before. We've done a live episode, but it was streamed.
Yeah.
And that was quite chaotic at the time, because there's literally all of us on one go, weren't we?
It's the first time it's ever happened anyway.
And it was like the 24-hour event, so it was all a bit knackered going through that. So no, this I'm really buzzed for. I think Expo, we all love Expo for different probably reasons. Chris, you're going for the first time this year. You're not going to make the live event, though, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately not, no, but I will be there next day all day.
But you'll be there. I'm really pleased you're going for your first Expo experience, and I hope you enjoy it, because it's just good fun. It's just like hanging out with your mates and playing games and buying games and just games.
Just games.
And it's just cool, and get to eat some cool food, hang out, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I don't think you really appreciate the scale of the industry until you start going to some of these events and you're seeing just how much is out there and how many people are into it. And it's quite eye-opening in a really nice way, in a lovely way. I remember speaking to the security guard when I was there. I was like, is there any point in you being here? It's a room full of geeks. The worst thing that's going to happen is the table's getting flipped. Like, nothing is going to happen. But no, it's really nice to be in a community where there's that many people and everybody's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah. To pull back the curtain a little bit as well, we were talking, weren't we, last year as to what would we do? What would we get to where we say we've done something this year to be like, sort of proud of, a big milestone or anything like that. And kind of as a bit of a pie in the sky, it was like, well, let's see if we can get to an expo event or something like that where we do a live episode, and within a year we're there. Like, again, who knows who turns up, right? But
please
do. Yeah, it's on the Friday. What time is it?
It's 1:30 to 2:30 in the Dice Room, which is in Piazza 4, I believe, and we'll have all the details. If you go to the show notes of this episode, there'll be a link to the event. And
it's on the Games Expo website, which again is just exciting to see our little symbol on the website if you go on there and sort of say, oh, you can see them live. So yeah, just really happy to be, as you say, privileged enough to be in a position where we can do that. And just really looking forward to doing that as a podcast. Yeah, you don't need a ticket for the event because your expo ticket will pretty much cover it. You just need to kind of be at the room, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes before, I believe.
Just right place at the right time.
It's first come, first serve. So, we got 30 seats, I think, for the room.
We ain't filling that.
And, well, we might. Well, let's hope. If you listen to the podcast and you go into the expo and you're there on a Friday, we'd love to see you. We'd love to meet you, actually. And that's the one thing.
Even if it's outside of the recording, the episode, just come and say hello. We'll be in our t-shirts and then repping. And so
so if you see see the logo and you see the branding and you see us around, then do stop and just say hi, because there's nothing that we love more actually than just chatting to the listeners. And we did that last year, and it's brilliant. And it's just nice to meet some of you guys who kind of listen to us on a week in, week out basis. So please do. But if you can, please come and listen to the show.
Absolutely.
And again, we've got another episode coming out before then, so I'm sure we'll wax lyrical about what we're looking forward to at the expo. But I know that some people like to plan their time. Just wanted to kind of say, if you want to come and see us, plan around that little window of time.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to come and see us, there might be seats available for you to sit down and have a little bit of a rest.
Yeah.
So, worst case scenario, just come and have a sit down with us.
Have a little break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good fun.
So outside of the Expo episode recording, there's a group of 4 of us that every year go and do something geeky. Like, we ironically call it lads, because we don't really drink that much or get up to anything too crazy. It's just,
I love this community. I love this hobby.
It's just, you'll have a couple of pints, you'll have some food, we'll do something geeky, Tank Museum, I think we did last time, and all that kind of stuff. So just do something geeky. So this year we're going to Warhammer World. We're going to play some Necromunda.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we're starting a new campaign. We've never done a campaign. We've done one-off games, but we're starting a new campaign with Necromunda. So that's one day. We'll go and visit the castle up at Nottingham and just play some board games and just be a little bit nerdy for 4 or 5 days in our little Airbnb. And I really every time I look forward to it. And last year we were just in the middle of nowhere in like a little sort of 4-bed cabin or whatever it was. Yeah. And we just played board games and did nothing else really. We played a bit of Blood Bowl, but this year we're going to Warhammer World to play Necromunda on their nice, cool-looking tables. And then just, usual thing, probably just chuck in like a So Clover and some Just One and all that lot. And just nerd out for 4 days. Looking forward to it.
Sounds cool.
I'm so jealous. I love the fact it's called lads.
Just ironically,
I love that. It's great. I absolutely love it.
Because if you tell someone outside of the hobby there's 4 lads going on a holiday, that is what they assume, that you're going out on benders and all that lot. So we call it the lads because it's just like
the opposite. Because
it's definitely not that.
Love it.
Man, that's awesome.
And that's it. That's our final turn over and done with. We're now counting points of how many dark side points you've attributed to yourself over the episode.
I'm shelling off my corruption. I'm trying to get rid of it.
Lots of dark side points.
Enough to create a galactic empire.
If you've enjoyed this episode and you enjoy what we do, there's two things you can do for us. Well, there's three things you can do for us. First of all, please mention us to someone you know, someone in the hobby that maybe doesn't listen to us. That's a great way to spread the word of Whose Turn. Secondly, please like us on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram. Please talk to us about the episode, about what you're up to, gaming. Talk to us on our posts when we post up what games we're playing. We really love interacting with you guys online. If you have a few pennies, you can support us on Coffee. Send a few pennies every sort of month or so our way. And again, hopefully this sound quality is better than it has been, but please feedback. And it's those few pennies that soon add up and allow us to purchase these wonderful mics and bits of equipment that help us out. So with that, whose turn is it anyway?